clearly put my life in loss. But let's see if there's an impact. I think you have money in that one. And I should come. Very good digest. So you get somebody over you. Because very unfortunate. That's kind of important. I did not know that H2S gas killed my friend. If I had known this terrible time, I would have jumped into bed trying to save them. I miss my friend so much. That is why I keep a picture of his under my pillow.
Just been informed that we have an incident offshore. Unfortunately, very sad news. Three of our colleagues and the contractor have passed away due to exposure of H2S.
I went in one day before and afterwards, the next one day by morning, I see him no more. We have stayed together for so much time, it's very difficult to come to a situation where we need that is no more.
Every morning as we leave, we need to identify an issue as one of the big monsters that we need on a daily basis. LEWEK, LEWEK, control, and above all, resources and sector employees.
Each individual in the field has been provided with issues detected. Even the contractors, even the laborers, even the drivers. What are the risks who are being involved in this job first of all? H2S, hydrocarbon, oxygen.
Hydrocarbon industry is a risky business by nature, and safeguards are developed to ensure that we protect our employees and the contractors that we are engaged with.
A lesson that came across those procedures at times that are due to over-experience and got less that these procedures are not fully adhered to. And this incident is one that should never be repeated again and should not have to get into operation. We shouldn't be encouraging shortcuts. Shortcuts, unfortunately, are long cuts. And people are helped.
Keep people being aware of the stress and the consequences of having this gas. Also keep training. That's an important part of our business. Training, training, and training.
Let's pull backward, huh?
General some of us are working in oil industry. There are rules to safety, must follow these rules.
Hydrocarbon system is designed in a full safe way. There are a lot of controls in place before anybody starts working. We have a job performer, we have a job originator, we have area authority, we have issuing authority, we have gas testing. All are independent. Nobody, a single person is not responsible for it. There are
These are some of the learnings we've gathered from past incidents. Do any of these learnings sound familiar to you? Do you do the job first and get the permit later? Do you know shortcuts are unfortunate shortcuts? If you are an experienced person, does it justify you to take shortcuts? Did you know that fatalities involving H2S are due to carrying out rescues without the right breathing protection and not trained on H2S safety? Procedures and permits are there to keep you safe. These include H2S monitors and your escape sets. This video will help you to understand what H2S is, where it can be found, the dangers of H2S and how to equip yourself when entering H2S areas, and what to do if H2S is detected.
H2S is colorless as a gas. It is soluble, which means it will dissolve in liquids. You must use caution when working in areas where liquid may be present, such as the bottom of ditches, tanks, and other vessels. If liquid containing H2S is disturbed, it may be released into the atmosphere. Like previously mentioned, it smells like rotten eggs at low concentrations. However, you can't rely on your sense of smell, since it's odorless at higher concentrations, where it is even more dangerous. As you can see, or rather, since you can't see or smell the presence of H2S at dangerous concentrations, special equipment is needed to detect it. You cannot rely on your senses. H2S is generally encountered as a gas, and is colorless, odorless at high concentrations, and is heavier than air, along with being extremely toxic. Pretty nasty stuff. You must also be very careful around any liquids that could contain H2S, since the disturbance of the liquid could release the gas back into the atmosphere. At 1 to 20 parts per million, it has an offensive odor similar to rotten eggs. You may experience nausea, tearing of the eyes, or headaches with prolonged exposure at this concentration. Between 20 and 100 parts per million, things begin to get a little more serious. You will experience nose, throat, and lung irritations, digestive upset, and loss of appetite. Your sense of smell starts to become fatigued, and you'll experience eye pain, tearing, and light sensitivity. Between 100 and 200 parts per million, you will experience severe nose, throat, and lung irritation, and your ability to smell odor will completely disappear. Between 250 and 500 parts per million, fluid will build up in the lungs. At 500 parts per million, there will be severe lung irritation, excitement, headache, dizziness, staggering, sudden collapse, loss of memory for the period of exposure, unconsciousness, and death within a few hours. Between 500 and 1,000 parts per million, there will be respiratory paralysis, irregular heartbeat, collapse, and death without rescue. Over 1,000 parts per million of H2S will cause rapid collapse, and death may be immediate. Today, we have a much better understanding of H2S, its properties, and where it can be found. Since H2S is naturally occurring around decaying organic materials, it is often found in petroleum and natural gas reservoirs. It can also be found in many manufacturing plants where organic materials are processed. Some of the more common industries where H2S is likely to be found include oil and gas. The most common locations within those industries to encounter H2S include production refining facilities, such as pipes, towers, and compressors, pits and ditches, wellheads or bores, vessels, tanks, and other confined spaces, fluid spills, and tank farm burn. In industry, products containing H2S are often referred to as sour. Common leak sources at the equipment level include valves, fittings, seals, drains, pressure safety valves or PSVs, vent lines, and sample test ports. It should be clear from this extensive list that H2S can be found throughout many plant sites and processing facilities. Always err on the side of caution.
In BSP, H2S occurs in natural gas and crude oils, and is also produced from bacterial activities in the absence of oxygen. Our reservoir souring may result from injection of water into the reservoir, which introduce various nutrients for the sulfate-producing bacteria, or SIB, in the reservoir. These nutrients may include sulfate ions, particularly if seawater is injected, biomass, or production chemicals. Water injection also cools the near wellbore of the injection well to a temperature that is more favorable for the sulfate-producing bacteria. The H2S can then be transported to the production wells and trained in the produced liquids. The H2S can then be transported to the production wells and trained in the produced fluids. Souring can also occur in pipelines, particularly in those that are not paved or regularly biocided. In the process, storage tanks, or any vessel that is closed in and airtight for an extended period. In our activities, attention must be given to potential release of H2S from corroded pipe or equipment, wellheads, areas underneath or in nearby vents, when opening pig traps, sampling activities, pump and compressor seals and drain points, tank hatches, and vents. BSP hydrocarbon facilities are segregated into 3 H2S categories. Category 1 is for areas where the H2S concentration in the pipe is below 50 ppm. Category 2 is for areas where the H2S concentration is between 50 to 500 ppm. And Category 3 is for areas where the H2S concentration is above 500 ppm. The higher the category, the tighter are the safety requirements to enter the facility. The category defines what controls are required, such as access control, escape sets, personal gas monitors, and activities requiring self-contained breathing apparatus usage. In Category 2 and 3 areas, each personnel must be equipped with individual personal gas monitors and escape sets. Buddy system, where workers must be accompanied, is required in both Category 2 and 3. In addition, half-hourly radio contact with the control room operator, or CRO, must be maintained for Category 3 areas. At entry points, personnel shall observe the H2S category signage. In large facilities, personnel shall observe Category 2 or Category 3 sub-areas, which are demarcated by painted lines, perimeter chains or fences, and with warning signs at the area entry points. Activities which may encounter H2S in Category 2 and 3 areas shall be done under self-contained breathing apparatus, such as braking containments, confined space entry, or sampling. Prior to entering any BSP hydrocarbon locations, you should check with the permit coordinator or HSE team on the H2S map and the category of the facility you will be entering. You are responsible to make sure you have the correct equipment in order to enter these areas. Each personnel accessing Category 2 or 3 areas must carry individual gas monitors. Prior to accepting or using the personal gas monitor, confirm the